Here in our studios in Dallas, Texas, behind me, if you're watching on the Blaze TV or on Dish Channel 212, you will see behind me this chalkboard. And I think this is another one of those chalkboards that we could keep up for a very long time, like we did when I was at Fox, that said, radicals and revolutionaries will sweep the Arab world, then they will destabilize the world, and yada, yada, yada. This election really comes down to what's on this chalkboard. It's 5 things. This election, all you have to do to decide on who should be president of the United States, we should really look at these 5 things and use empirical data. Things that are going to affect us and our children in the next year and in the decades to come. And these 5 things will decide whether America survives, thrives, or is over. Here they are. Number 1, debt and inflation. Which one of these 2 candidates will continue to spend us into oblivion? Which one of these candidates will stop the Fed from printing money? Now, maybe the answer to that one is neither. But we have a clear record on one of them. 2, which one understands regulation? Which one really understands the impact regulation has on business and job creation? Because regulation will directly affect our job creation and, quite honestly, things like faith. There's a story now. Remember, they said that they don't want to ever regulate what your kids eat at home. They don't want to ever. There'll never be the lunch police. Yet there is the lunch police now. It's literally happened. The what was it? The FDA? Which organization were we talking about this morning that has come out about television? Is it the FDA? I have it here. Hang on. This is absolutely amazing. No, Department of Health and Human Services. They are looking now to eliminate TV for children under 2 and limit all children to 2 hours per day. Excuse me?
What?
What the hell are you? At home. I don't know.
How could they even propose
I don't have any idea.
Thing?
Department of Health and Human Services looking to eliminate TV for children under 2 and limit all children to only 2 hours per day.
Eliminate it.
Well, they're
recommending
2. Yeah, they're recommending it. Yeah.
Well, that's first. It's a suggestion. That's how they started
with the lunch thing.
Yeah,
we recommend, and now it's mandatory at the schools.
That is what they do. Yes.
Okay. So let's just take this into the Big Bird thing. Who's going to be more dangerous to Big Bird? Who's going to be more dangerous?
Yeah, it's true. I don't think Big Bird will have much of an audience if children can't watch.
Yeah. I mean, and the way they'll do it is they will just tell these television networks you can't make anything that appeals to children under 2.
Nor will they allow sponsors to advertise their products that appeal to kids under 2 or
Baby Einstein
children at all. Yeah, Baby Einstein,
anything.
And that
food product.
That they've largely admitted. I mean, in Michelle Obama's Let's Move program, it says very specifically, if you don't stop advertising these fatty foods to kids, we will eventually come up with rules for it. This is a recommendation now. Rules are coming if you don't do it.
Right. Yep. Okay. So regulation will affect everything, and the biggest one that it will affect is faith. And that goes, you can see that. We remember that list we published. It was like a 4-page list of all the things that the president has done against faith. The regulation on faith will continue, and it will get worse and more oppressive because there will be one faith that is protected, and that is Islam. And you know that to be true because the Secretary of State has already met with the OIC, has already developed and already signed, it has to go through the Senate, but has already signed a document through the UN that says we as a State Department and as the Obama administration accept the premise that no one can slander Islam. That's going to affect you in more ways than you can possibly imagine. Which one of the candidates understands this? Third one is the war on coal and the war on oil, the war on energy. If you don't have coal, remember, we get about 43% of all of our energy from coal. If we don't have coal, you can't have cheap anything. The reason why it is so expensive, the reason why we have always been so great at production and everything else is because we had cheap energy. If you have cheap energy, you can create anything. And understand, our entire system is built on cheap energy. If you remember the chart that we showed you of the price of oil, and when it hit $140 a barrel, that's when the housing market collapsed. Because everything we have, every model that we have created for the United States of America to survive, not thrive, survive, you have to have cheap energy. Because our entire model of our society is built on cheap energy. You don't have it, you're not going to grandma's house. You don't have it, how do you commute the way you've commuted? You don't have it, how do you keep things air conditioned in these giant buildings? How do you have these giant malls air conditioned? You can't. Everything we have is built on cheap energy. Which one of the two candidates understands that? 4, the Arab Spring. It's time for somebody to call the Muslim Brotherhood evil. It's time for somebody to say CARE is evil. It's time for somebody to say Al-Qaeda is not the only enemy. It's time for somebody to not hesitate. Do we have the audio of the person yesterday testifying, being asked unequivocally, will the State Department release the blind sheik? The answer was unequivocally, no. We can't give that to you unequivocally. It's pretty intense. The answer to that one is such an easy no. Of course not. Of course not. They won't say it. The Department of Justice will, but the Department of Justice isn't the one negotiating.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing audio.
Here's the audio.
Are you prepared on behalf of the State Department to make an unequivocal statement that there will not be a release of Abdul Rahman?
I'm not going to appear to avoid that question, sir, but I am the Undersecretary of State for Management. I have a series of responsibilities, and that is a question I'll be glad to take for the record to get a complete and State Department position for you.
I'm not going to appear to avoid the question. I'm just going to avoid the question. That's what I'm saying here is.
Yeah, but he's got a series of responsibilities, though.
I've got a series of responsibilities, and I'm going to take that back to ask somebody about whose responsibility that one is.
The answer is no. To any thinking person, the answer is no. To every single American. You want to release the guy who plotted and planned the 91 World Trade Center, or 92 93 World Trade Center. Do you want to release him? The answer is no. Do you want to give him to Egypt? The answer is no. No, no, no. You can wake me up from a dead sleep. Do we release the blind sheik? No. Will anybody in your organization release the blind sheik? No. It is simple to answer that question.
You can follow it up with a never if you'd like.
You could.
No,
never.
Period.
No.
You can even do that. You do period at the end. You can say the word period and just assuming that they know there's punctuation there.
So again, point 4 is the Arab Spring and the Muslim Brotherhood. Are you clear? Can you state that we are in a war against radical Islam? Yes or no? This administration cannot. It's going to be the death of us. It will be the death of us. Okay. And the last one is radical revolutionaries. Nobody is talking about, again, the Nazis in Greece. The Nazis in Greece, when I first brought this up, they didn't even exist. And I was mocked and ridiculed. Then they had 2% in Greece. Now remember, they killed a third of the population of Greece. A third. In World War II, a third of the population in Greece. Then they had 8%. Then they had 10%, then 12%. They now have 22%. 22% support in a country that was killed by the Nazis. Excuse me? How does that happen? Desperation, lies, corruption. That's how it happens. But you also have the Nazis coming over here, and now the Golden Dawn Party has opened up an office in New York. You've seen the radical revolutionaries on our own streets. They may not be Nazis. But see, we had three things. We had three things that we should have fought in World War II, and we only fought two of them. We fought fascism. Mussolini, bad. Fascism, bad. Nazism, another idea, bad. Hitler, Mussolini, dead. Wipe it off the face of the earth. But because I believe we didn't have enough faith in God, and because we waited way too long, we needed to embrace the third idea. And we also did it because there were communists in our own country. The labor unions. I want you to read a book called Freedom's Forge. It is fantastic. But boy, will you learn a lot about the communists in the United States of America during World War II. It's really an uplifting book. It shows how great this country is. It shows what we accomplished building up to World War II and how we did it, and the entrepreneurs and what they went through and the regulations and everybody else that they had to fight in the progressive government. It is a fantastic book. Freedom's Forge. But we only fought two of the three Constitution-killing ideas. We fought fascism, and we fought Nazism. We embraced communism. We brought it in and said we're friends. We must stand against fascism, Nazism, communism, and we must stand for freedom, not democracy. Go back and read the statement from Woodrow Wilson in 1919 when the Great Revolution happened in Russia. He says almost word for word what Barack Obama says about Egypt. He says, finally, the communists are in and we can work with them. They're great. The people have finally had a people's revolution, and now the people are in charge. And so they'll be able to unleash the spirit of the Russian people. No, they killed them. They killed them in record numbers. They killed people in larger numbers than the fascists did and the Nazis did. They killed them. Except we put Mao and Che on our T-shirts and our purses and on our Christmas ornaments now at the White House. Who understands that fascism, Nazis, and communists are poison to mankind? Which one? Does Barack Obama? Does Mitt Romney? Which one? You're not going to get 100%. Which one do you have a better chance of surviving? Which one understands the Arab Spring and the Muslim Brotherhood is a bad thing? Which one ran out and said, hey, it's the video, we've got to curb Americans' free speech? And which one came out and said, that's terrorism? If you believe it was the video, then you have one choice. If you believe that it was terrorism and that the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda and what's happening in the Arab world is evil, you only have one choice. Which one? Barack Obama or Mitt Romney understands the war on coal and oil? Which one will open up the coal mining? Which one will make us energy independent here in North America? And which one is saying we've got to try this new experimental green stuff and flush all the money down the toilet while curbing coal and oil? Which one understands the relationship between regulation and job creation, regulation and faith? Which one goes to church every Sunday? So he'd be kind of sensitive to regulation on faith. Which one will spend us into oblivion? Which one do we have a chance will say something to the Fed like, hey, maybe we should stop printing? It's five things. And the choice is so clear. Anybody who tells you, oh, they're both alike. No, they're not. No, they are not. Remember those 5 topics and ask your friends. Choose you now.